confidently in the direction of your dreams. Dare to live the life you have imagined, said Henry Tanu. But he forgot to add that your money's got to be right, which is one of the major reasons why SOUQ News is here. A SOUQ morning to you and yours. Welcome to SOUQ News Television. I am Hans Mba, and this is SOUQ Business Landscape, where we take a look at headlines that the world is discussing from business publications from continent to continent. We'll do this together on the show. Remember, as we take it outside the show, it's at SOUQ News TV. I am at Ike.Mba. That's where I am. Let's do this and chat and keep the hashtag SBL going. All right? Coffee time, SBL time. A quick break calls. When we return, the rummaging will begin. Let's do that. Welcome back. Any coffee drinkers? Where my coffee drinkers at? We begin. Business Day, Naija. States IGR hits 5-year high on income tax. States IGR hits 5-year high on the income tax. We're talking Lagos, Abuja, Rivers. These three states account for 50% as states grow their debts by 38.1% in 1 year. Find all of this and more on page 30. You start on the front page, you finish up on page 30. How Money Point joined the League of Nigerian Unicorns. Money Point. Page 12 got that one for you. Also, Naira bounces back. That's what they're celebrating on Business Day. Business Day, let's do well to make our prints finer and clearer. Okay, thank you. On to Business Daily, Kenya. YCA gave Safaricom Airtel temporary licenses. Decision made pending deal on permit spectrum fees. Regulators seek fresh rules for quality, penalties for outages. The outages are a lot and they've been penalized. 1.63 billion shillings is what Safaricom paid for a 2-year license plus another 6 million shillings. I don't know if that's too much if you ask me, but hey, Kenya Power pays its first dividend in 6 years. Kenya Power pays its first dividend in 6 years. They have resumed paying their dividends, which ending a 6-year drought for its shareholders after the firm posted a net profit of 30.08 billion shillings in the year ended June. So we're talking 6 months from the beginning of the year up until June, and they have they're looking to offset their debts that has been pending. 6-year debt, looking good. Treasury's relief as judges reinstate Finance Act 2023. The Treasury has won a major relief after the Supreme Court reinstated the Finance Act 2023, which allows the government to continue collecting higher taxes using the law amidst their financial challenges. They just keep collecting. You know how that goes. Pay or find yourself where you would find yourself. This decision has gone on to stop the top rate for pay-as-you-earn reverting to almost 30%, and the VAT on fuel going back to 8%. It just seems to be, things seem to be dragging and twinning up across Africa. Court blocks sale of SOUQ assets in actual validation role. Now, SOUQ if you put things in perspective, is the former cabinet secretary, Raphael Tuju. So he secured a temporary high court order that's preventing auctioneers from seizing his prime properties as part of efforts to recover a 4.5 billion shillings debt that is owed to the East African Development Bank. I don't know how this works, but the planned auction initially was scheduled for yesterday, October 29th, which was aimed at liquidating these assets. They include his Entim Sidai Wellness Sanctuary, Tamarin Karen, Dairy Business Park, and Tuju Restaurants. So Tuju himself contested the market valuation of these upscale properties. They are, of course, upscale properties, and it led the court to halt the auction until case is determined. Like they say in hip-hop culture, pay as you weigh. You got to pay as you weigh. IFC plans 2.58 billion loan, 2.58 billion shillings loan for steel firm in Kenya, Ethiopia. So the International Finance Corporation in Kenya plans to invest this said amount, 2.58 billion shillings, in steel manufacturer Abyssinia Group of Industries, which is obviously the biggest in Kenya for now, and they're further expanding their production capacity, which is something 2.58 billion is going to be doing for the company. And the World Bank's private sector lending arm also felt the need to reiterate that the said funding will form part of a whopping 7.74 trillion shillings project in which Abyssinia Group of Companies targets to cut emission. And that's one of the reasons why World Bank was interested in this, because their aim is to, what they show that they're interested in is Abyssinia's efforts and promise to totally cut down emissions. We'll go up on to the intelligence article. You know how I like to bring you all a quote from there. And you know this by now. So today, this year, quote of course, this year's $1.5 billion Euro bond is costing Kenya $50 million more in annual interest than the one it repaid. Find out why. Extra, read all about it. Get that quote on intelligence. Page 39 as it waits for you. All right, we segue further down the continent. Business Day, South Africa. Vodacom, Maziv weighs options. I don't know why they didn't bring the blocking onto this headline, but Vodacom, Maziv weighs option after, that happened. So Vodacom is weighing its options as it considers to appeal against the competition tribunal's decision on Tuesday to block its merger with Remgro's fiber business, which is Maziv, the owner, CEO at. And Remgro's fiber business is something they've been interested in for a while, and this could spell an end of consolidation in the sector. And not just that, it's profoundly influenced the structural dynamics of South Africa's telecoms landscape for good, which is one of the reasons why they don't want to stand by to this blockade. They intend to fight it. Steel firms fight AMSA's call to end scrap export tax. Steel firms fight AMSA's call to end scrap export tax. It's reported that a war is brewing. A war is brewing as the coalition of electric steel producers push back against calls by ArcelorMittal. ArcelorMittal is one of the big tools in SA. For authorities, they do this for authorities to discard the export tax on scrap steel. And this is something that they have gathered against ArcelorMittal for. We're talking Core Metals, Cape Gates. These are some of the companies that are doing this, are gathering to do this. VS Steel Mills, and more. They all form like Voltron against the perceived big bad wolf called ArcelorMittal. How GNU plans to achieve 3% growth. As much as you look at 3%, it's a whopping figure actually when you're talking growth. So Finance Minister Godongwana stated yesterday that the medium-term budget policy statement would provide markers, quote unquote, to the medium-term development plan, the government of national unity. That's where of course, GNU, that's what it means. The government of national unity partners have agreed on. And they go further to talk about unveiling the starting steps. These are the things that would help them begin on this journey to achieving a 3% growth rate. You heard medium term there twice, eh? Okay. Infrastructure worries Bidvest. Bidvest is worried about infrastructure, right? So Bidvest has warned that South Africa's deteriorating basic infrastructure, characterized strongly up there by a subpar rail system, poor port efficiencies, and a declining water quality and availability, continues to redirect commodity flows to neighboring countries. She is calling she, right? Bidvest is a she. Well, she's calling for simplification of the regulation on private-public partnership. Simple. That's all. That's all she's calling for. Well done, Bidvest. Well done. SA weighs nuclear reactor options. SA weighs nuclear reactor options. Electricity, Energy and Energy Minister Ramokoba inspected the facilities of X-Energy on his trip to the US. So the US developer of X-Energy is the US developer of small modular nuclear reactors. And this visit happened last week. And the minister was taking the time to assess the capabilities of the US, of X-Energies actually. His visit comes amid the government's plans to procure 2,500 megawatts of new nuclear generation capacity. We're talking 2,500 megawatts of a new nuclear generation capacity. Now, this is touted to be significantly larger than Koeberg. Koeberg is Africa's only nuclear power plant, which has 2 units. Its generation capacity is only 920 megawatts each of the 2 units. Extra, read all about it. ANC sets dates to evaluate policies. ANC is setting a date for evaluation of policies. Pay-as-you-go car plan from Zeda. Pay-as-you-go car plan from Zeda. So this is where customers keep vehicles. The plan is where customers keep vehicles longer than a typical rental happens. Not just that, and Zeda is saying that the platform makes it easier for customers either way to tailor their mobility requirements. They also say this sale, they believe, is made easier in the sense that in emerging markets, it would include, in emerging markets, it includes Southern Africans' vehicle finance as well as vehicle ownership. It makes it easy for that to happen. And this is going out of reach for most low middle income earners. So car financing, car ownership is actually going out of reach for low and middle income earners. I think we need that in Nigeria. Quick and fast. Going out of reach? That's an understatement. It's gone out of reach. What we call Otilo. Quickly, let's do that. All right. Okay, Bangladesh is where we are, all the way to Asia. Business Post. Bangladesh's marine wealth remain out of reach amid investment lags. Bangladesh's marine wealth remain out of reach. Despite investment lags, why Bangladesh's blue economy is struggling, this is a question that they answered. Their blue economy, and they also talked about their Vision 2041. It will be an interesting read, which spreads as an inlay here. You see a flash diagram in the form of a table as well, but you finish this interesting eye-opener about this on page 4. DP World, Abu Dhabi ports keen to invest in Bangladesh. This is coming on the verge of the UAE envoy. I think it's more than one person. I was going to say a UAE envoy. The United Arab Emirates is very keen in investing in Bangladesh's logistics, ports, aviation, and renewable energy sector, and expressed readiness to support the interim government of the country. And this, the ambassador said, Ambassador Al-Muldi of the Gulf nation said this yesterday at a meeting. He took the opportunity to also thank the UAE President Al Nahyan for the release of 57 Bangladeshi people who were convicted and sentenced in a UAE court. They're thanking them profusely for this good thing. Ministry asked to apply for a refund of money stuck in e-commerce. Ministry asked to apply for a refund of money stuck in e-commerce. This story is a bit, it saddens me a little bit. So the Ministry of Commerce took an initiative to return money. They're taking, right, initiative to return monies owed to traders by e-commerce companies that went bust all of a sudden, and there are a few of them. They just went kaput. Like you sleep, thinking you have millions safe somewhere, and you wake up, right? You wake up to zero, to zip, to zilch, right? So they're giving these monies back to e-commerce companies that went bust all of a sudden, their customers, which has, because they left innumerable buyers and sellers in the lurch. Now the Ministry of Commerce is doing such a big thing. It's a big deal, and they've been commended for it, and I commend them as well. They have asked for a complete list of the affected customer to be made available by November 14th. So they are keen on paying back. Like I said, you go to sleep one day, you have millions in your account, and you wake up the next day, you're broke as air. Great job, Ministry of Commerce. Great job. Make sure they get that list by November 14th, though. BMCCI keen to collaborate with BIDA to attract more foreign investments. They're collaborating with BIDA to attract more foreign investments. Nice one. We'll take a short break. I have to attend to this. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we will stay in Asia up north. Let's take that break. Welcome back. I don't know if there's any such thing as too much coffee, is there? Where are my coffee people at? You should be on this cup. All right, we're back. It's still SOUQ Business Landscape. My name is Hanson Ba. We segue onto Gulf Times in Qatar. IQ reports 9-month net profit of 3.5 billion Qatari riyals. IQ reports 9-month net profit of 3.5 billion Qatari riyals. 3.5 billion is quite a steep figure in a 9-month period. So between, say, January and September, thereabouts, profits from IQ, the reports 3.5 billion. That's amazing. Asia, GUC, you guys are doing fantastic. I must say so, Qatar participates in 8th edition of Future Investments Initiative in Riyadh. Qatar participates in 8th edition of Future Investment Initiative in Riyadh. These are some of the celebration, award events, summits that go on in Qatar every now and again, more frequently, where they celebrate each other due to the successes and the profits that come their way. It's a good thing. Doha Bank, Carlyle partner to provide private capital strategies to investors in Qatar. Doha Bank, Carlyle partner to provide private capital strategies to investors in Qatar. This partnership will see both parties draw on their respective strengths across their domestic and global networks. And this is something that's huge, that works amazing. And Nigeria, Africa at large should emulate. QIC posts 525 million reals profit on GWP out of 7.2 billion reals in January-September. Another profit worth celebrating, 525 million reals. Wow. Same thing as the first headline we talked about, that a 9-month period is such an amazing thing. Come on. Truthfully, it's a bit mind-boggling how Qatari economy is always on the up and up. A thing or two that we must learn, if I say so myself. On domestic focus, Saudi Wealth Fund to cut overseas investments. Saudi Wealth Fund to cut overseas investments. This begins on page 2 as it awaits to feed you. Check it out. HIA enhances China-Qatar connectivity with inauguration of Shenzhen Airlines, brand new airlines. HIA enhances China-Qatari connectivity with inauguration of Shenzhen Airlines. This is waiting for you on page 4. Catch it in jest. Further down, we segue on the Asian continent. Business Standard in India. Brokerage SNP Nifty EPS growth estimates. Brokerage SNP Nifty EPS growth estimates. So further revisions is going on for the fiscal year 2025, fiscal year 2026. Likely if quarter 2 shows continues, continues to disappoint, right? So that's what they're talking about, that revisions are key. Also, it states that in the earnings, that it's puzzling them. And if it's puzzling, it's disappointing. So quarter 2 results have led to cuts in the EPS, as it states on the EPS estimates in the headline. By the way, LSID now is quoted as India's priciest, and in quotes, it's put in quotes, priciest, with a 73,600 times surge in 2 days, in just 2 days. We're not saying double, we're not saying triple, we're not saying 100 times over, or you know when you say 2 times over, they're saying 73,600 times over surge in just 2 days. Wow. Multiply that over. Sounds like advantage kalu. Well, don't take our word for it. Catch a full clip on page 6. Extra. Read all about it in the results corner of the publication. Somewhere it's trying to hide away. Maruti earnings slip 18% in quarter 2. Maruti earnings slip 18% in quarter 2. Maruti Suzuki India, Maruti Suzuki is the parent company. They reported yesterday that the figure is on year-on-year decline. It's declining, and its consolidated net profit for the second quarter is something that they're not too happy about. Also, Adani Enterprises bottom line zooms 664%. Cipla's profits jumps 15% on robust sales. Kamara Bank profit is also up 11% despite the pressures on NIM. All the juice and sauce are on page 6. JSW POSCO forged deal for MT Steel plants. JSW POSCO forged deal for MT Steel plants. Meanwhile, JSW Energy outbid Adani, that was in the previous headline, NTPC for KSK, Mahanadi, all this on page 3. Page 3, catch it on page 3. Credit card spending gets a festive lift, rises 25%. It's that time of the year, right? Festive spending gets lift, it rises 25%. Record-breaking realty estates IPOs raise 13.5 lakh Creole. That's a lot. Record-breaking realty estate IPOs raised. So India's real estate sector saw a record surge in initial public offerings with 123 IPOs listed till October ending, which is in a day or so, thereabouts. And they're saying this surpasses the total for the whole of last year. So by January to this time, 123 IPOs listed, and it surpasses everything they had in 2023, the whole of last year. And this signals an economic optimism and ample market liquidity. That's where we bring the thumbs up. PM extends Ayushman Bharat scheme to citizens over 70 years old. They extend Ayushman Bharat scheme to citizens over 70 years old. This pertains to India's economy and their public affairs underlying issues, and it's something to check for on page 7. Artificial superintelligence to exist by 2035, says SoftBank's son. This one kind of got me shook, right? So let's get some shook ones on page 12 to check out artificial superintelligence and how they talk about it's going to fully exist by 2035. Who's going to be alive at that time? Do your math. Page 12 got you shook. Gold sparkles less this Dhanteras. Silver shines. So Dhanteras is the annual bazaar in India, which has witnessed a surge of buyers yesterday more than it has ever done. And not just that, the buyers are sticking with silver, where silver is outsold gold, hasn't done that in a really long time. By the way, gold, 60% of the gold reserves is held domestically. I don't know if it's being saved or if it's in the markets. This report, RBI data shows, check it on page 4. That's it for India. We'll segue finally on our final publication, Financial Times. I love me some Financial Times. Kiev and Moscow in talks on halting energy plant strikes as winter looms. Kiev, of course, Moscow, we're talking Russia now. Kiev and Moscow in talks on halting energy plant strikes as winter is around the corner. So there are early stage negotiations going on, discussions on power grid, right, and oil refineries, not just power grid, and hopes rise for ceasefire push. All this continue as Russia is thinking very hard about this. Third of China's billionaires vanish as crackdowns and economic ills take a toll. A third of China's billionaires vanish. Where did they go to? As crackdowns and economic ills take tolls. It's not just in Nigeria, guys. Let's just buckle our belts, okay? So a little about this. The number of China's dollar billionaires, specifically they're saying dollar, they're not saying yuan now, have fallen more than a third in the past 3 years, according to their quote-unquote rich list, which is usually compiled annually by a research group, Hurun. So Hurun is saying that they think it's due to government crackdowns that this has happened. It has weakened and depressed equity markets, which has taken a toll on these billionaires vanishing, which is a better word than disappearing. Okay, outlook brightens in Spain as growth puts US in a shade. Outlook brightens in Spain as growth puts US in a shade. A combination of immigration, tourism, state spending, and foreign investment has pushed Spain to the brink of being the fastest growing major advanced economy. I don't know how US just managed to slip the name into that headline. Kudos to Spain, fastest growing. Awesome. So to take a look at a few more headlines before it's curtains on the show. HSBC chief insists bank not on path to formal split. Georges and Hedry has maintained that his plan to divide operations into eastern and western sections is not a step towards the bank's formal split, as it reported a rise in pre-tax profits and a buyback of up to $3 billion. Page 6, it begins on page 6 and it wraps on page 8. Check that out. McDonald's loses grounds. So the fast food chain has suffered a second consecutive quarterly fall in sales as it struggles with weak consumer demand in markets such as France, the UK, Middle East, and China. What happened? No one's eating your burgers anymore? You know, this is the period of healthy eating, of eating vegetables and fruits and drinking water. So I guess that would tell on McDonald's. This is where we'd call it, no, not a day. Like I said, curtains. So it's curtains on the show. It's Friday. Remember, we don't get too excited about it because on the aisle and on SOUQ News Television, the weekend begins on Thursday. I've said it before, so let it stick. All right, I'm Handsome, but remember, engage with us with the hashtag SBL across all social media. Follow us at SOUQ News TV. Simple. At SOUQ News TV, and the conversation will continue. Follow me at ike.mbah. I call it a day, but remember, take another coffee break. But stay tuned at 8 o'clock as early exchange will commence at that time. Have a beautiful weekend.